Hi, Katie here from the COPS team. A normal errand turned into a moment no parent ever hopes to face. Florence shares an experience that tested her patience, faith, love for her son. Now, let's watch.
And to always see that he cannot fit into this system and the kind of the pressure, the kind of the condemnation that it always press upon him, it actually pains us as parents. So even from young, wherever we go, from the day he starts school, preschool, all the way up to his secondary school, there isn't a year that the teacher never complained. And it just escalates as the year goes by. So even strangers that we don't know, they will always look at my son and say, wow, 你看这个孩子，哇，他不是大好就是大坏。You know, in Chinese mean, in English mean, look at this child, look at his face. Wow, he's like, either he's for the very good or he's for the very bad. So from young, it was like always this kind of voices from others, even from family, even from church friends that, you know, as a child, that they will always say things that it doesn't really build him up, you know. So even for me as a mom, sometimes I wonder, it saddens me as a mom because sometimes there's no way that I could control what people say. And sometimes I lose all hope when people look at him and complain about all the bad things about him. And I lose all hope at times. And there's many times also when Luis wasn't around, I was depressed myself. But I thank God for this word that he gave me. I always cling on to this, hope, this light of hope, the words they say, this child is a reward. I told God, yes, the reward. I didn't know what kind of reward, but every time I think of this word, it gives me the hope to rise up again and continue to fight and continue to give. So, as I said, Khan was a very smart boy, so smart that you can imagine when he was like 6 years old, he can manipulate. There was once he wanted something. Louis, of course, is not around. None of this incident that happened, Louis was around to witness. You see? And he will take a knife at 6 years old. He wanted something and he said, you don't give me, I'm going to, kill myself. And he really take a knife. And I was like, well, I think it's the wisdom of God and the courage. And I say, okay, you hold on for a while. I told my son, please give me the phone. I want to record down everything that happened so that there's witness that what happened. The police get to see what happened, and it really take that kind of courage from God to handle this child because he is smart. He can use all kinds of way to manipulate. I probably think if I don't have God, I'll give him to him because you don't want him to get hurt himself. And I'll just give him, and can you imagine it's only barely 6? So this is my son. Is it easy? It's not easy without God. So that was how Ryan grew from young. And as I said, when he was in school, he's always complained. Never a day that he wasn't complaining. And when Luis wasn't around, I barely remember a few incidences that was super challenging. And he always wanted things that I wouldn't comply. He would challenge me. He would want to fight with me. I tried as a mom, you have to discipline him. As a child, how can you give in to him, right? I did all the caning. Every time I cane, I cry because it's so painful, right? I did a hard way. I did a soft way. I tried always, but it just doesn't work. There was once he actually tried to get something and I didn't want to give him. And then I was like telling God, God, this child is so hard. And I was like, I have all this remembrance that God gave me that I kept it. You see, this is a table planner. I still kept it to this day. I was like telling God, God, this child is so hard. So I have this day by day message. So that day it was taken from message. And I was like looking at the message and God like speaking to me as I cried out to God, this child is so hard. And God said, yes, love your enemies. It was taken from Matthew, sorry. Love your enemy. Let them bring out the best in you, not the worst. When someone gives you a hard time, you respond it with the energies of prayer. For then you are walking out of your very true self, your God-created self. This is what God does. He gives his best, the sun to warm and the rain to nourish to everyone. So much like that. God knows how hard it is. So God said, the word that jumped out was the energies of prayer. Pray for this child. And God rain down everything. The rain, when it comes down, it's for the good and for the bad. What we think, wow, this child is so bad. But to God, it's good. But God is using him to channel me to pray. And our enemies are not of him, not the one that we see. It's of the principality, the rulers and authority. There's another one. He wanted my iPad. There's many times when he wanted things that I don't give him, he will even fight with me as a mom. He wouldn't give in, he will fight. I remember once even my daughter helped me to fight with him. You know what I mean? And he wasn't around. And I ended up it was like so max. I just cry. I weep. It's not even cry. I just literally weep and weep and weep because I need to release out my stress and my pain, My daughter still tell me, Mommy, don't cry. But I told my daughter that I need to release, I need to weep it out. And when I cry, and the very next day, God spoke in the word in some. I know you cry like a rice bowl, like you cry so much. So these are my words of comfort that God always meet me. Because every single situation that we face is so difficult to tell sometimes people because they will never understand. Sometimes I want to tell people, the more I tell, they will think, maybe you should do that, maybe you should. Sometimes even feel more condemned because you never love our son, you never discipline. Wow. So the best way is when I go to God, always God is the one that know where I am and give me the exact word to comfort me. So there was once or so we had this shop near our place that we always patronize, a toy shop. And he stole some toys from there. And he was caught, in a CCTV. So I was like so sorry that my son had done that. And we paid for the amount and so thankful because he was then very young. They didn't report him to the police. But the shop owner was like pointing me down on the face. So what kind of mother are you? I was like, I felt so down, so shameful. When we walk out of the shop, both my son and myself, we dare not even lift up my head. We're just like total silent. I never even scold him or anything. We just walk in total silent back home. I never dare to lift up my head. All the voice, all the sound, all the condemnation, all the shame. And what kind of leaders are you? Sunday school teacher, leader, blah, blah. I just dare not lift up my head. But there's this gentle voice inside that sing a song, say, 我是让你抬起头的神. And God was like telling me, yes, I'm the God that lives well. So I take such comfort that God knows where I am. Like, as a mom, as parents, we take pride in our children when they do well. As I say, the challenge is not well, he fight, he do all the, and what kind of pride can you, but God is tearing that part of me that I'm holding on, we are holding on this earth that, the world, the earth, even the church, we brag about we also put on a false front, the facade that, all is good, but God is tearing away that part of me, bending me, breaking every part of pride that I have, everything I was holding on to, my pride, to my solace, to my reward, of the world, but God is taking every part of that away, and my reward is not even of him doing well, and knowing that God is the reward. And it's not the earthly reward, it's the reward in Christ. So he's using Cain to actually bring me to accept him as what he is, even in that area of not any parents take pride of, but only when I have that love from God and that understanding from God and affirmation from God as a mother, the confidence rise. Wow, the assurance rise. And with that, when I reach home, actually, my son was sad. He was fighting himself. He knows he's a child that from young he fights. He said there's two of him inside. He knew the flesh, and the flesh, that part of it he shouldn't be doing. But there's also a spirit part. He knows it's not right to do that. He's quite a spiritual child from young, and he knew that was wrong, but he couldn't fight it off. So he was like locking himself in the room, and I have this key, and I unlocked to the room when he was sleeping. I have a kneeling prayer stool that one of my pastor gave me. It was at the corner of the room. But when I opened the door, I saw my son Cain sleeping on the bed, and that kneeling prayer stool was just right beside his bed. Wow, I tell you, I teared then. I took such comfort, like in the midst of all that. What I yearned most was that child to turn to God. And I knew, though he never said that, actually, I believe in prayer. he turned to God, that he was sorry for what he has done. And this child, many times, when I was up to my brim, the toilet is my refuge. I will always hide in my toilet. It's like my refuge. It's like my Psalm 23, wow, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not in need, is my green pasture. I even told Louis, I would even lie in the toilet, not coming out. And I literally lie, such comfort inside, such refuge and strength that God gave me every time I go inside. I don't have to face them. I hide inside and cry. And there was even once that I told that God, it was up to my max already. I was in depression then. At that point, I said, God, take me home.
That day led questions about trust, hope, and what possibly could come next. See you in the next episode.